wide experience in the oil company, and he knows ins and outs of pricing and all the other aspects of oil. And in addition, he is also a very good group traveler. He has conducted a lot of travels along with the group, and he is the leader for the group. And that group has traveled to Europe, to Egypt, to China, then Australia and New Zealand, and like that so many trips he has made, and for that we must congratulate him to have taken a group of people to various countries and opened their eyes and ears and give a good experience. I request Valerian Lobo to talk.
Thank you very much. Good evening, all of you. So without taking much of your time, I propose to, I think I'll sit and talk to you. I propose to talk to you on the oil scene in India with reference to the developments that are taking place right now and also the historical background. I propose to speak to you for half an hour. Is it okay or too much?
Okay.
No, you start your talk, then we will say.
Thank you. Okay. Now, see, historically, the oil industry in India had the beginning with imported petroleum products coming from sources from Shell, Esso, Caltex. All these companies came to India to market the petroleum products in the early part of the 40s and 50s. Up to 1961, it was the imported oil that was distributed in India by the foreign companies. 61, the public sector oil company by name Indian Oil Corporation was formed. 62, the first main refinery was commissioned at Guwahati. That was owned by the government of India, and the technology came from Russia and Romania. It was Eastern Bloc countries who gave us the technology. So after the Indian Oil's entry into the oil scene, there was a scene where the public sector oil company and the private sector oil companies were marketing the products together across the country. This phase continued till 1974. In this period, there was nothing like price fixation. It was open market pricing. The oil companies were assured their profit and they will compete among themselves. See, they'll give discounts, they will increase the prices, reduce the prices according to market conditions, because the demand was very, very small and they could afford to do that. 74, the oil companies in India were nationalized. So the Esso and Caltex became Hindustan Petroleum Corporation. Burma Shell became Bharat Petroleum Corporation, and IBP merged with Indian Oil Corporation. So there were three major public sector oil companies in India came into existence. That is Indian Oil, Bharat Petroleum and Hindustan Petroleum. However, a major portion of the activity was with the Indian Oil Corporation in terms of the refineries, in terms of the distribution, because Indian Oil came into existence in 1959. So they had always a lead over the rest of them. However, in 74, a total public monopoly became order of the day. The oil marketing distribution became almost a government monopoly. Now, that was the time your price escalation started. If you see the oil industry, up to 1971, till the war, not the Bangladesh war, the war that took place in Egypt, the prices were very, very low for petroleum products. They were as low as $1. After that, the price escalation became order of the day. from $1 it became $10. It was very, very high. And if you recall, in the 70s, there was a lot of shortage of kerosene, diesel oil, petrol in some parts of the country. However, the shortages were not very much felt because we had by then developed a number of refineries. We had import arrangements for the import of petroleum products, and therefore the people's requirements were met. Now, the third phase came up when the government introduced what you call administered pricing mechanism. Under this administered pricing mechanism, which came sometime in 76, 77, you have so many petroleum products manufactured in India. For example, you have petrol, diesel, aviation turbine fuel, kerosene oil, lubricating oil. There are so many products they manufacture, including gas. Now, what the government did under this principle, all the products were put into one basket. And they said we should bring a socio-economic justice. That is, one, the product that the common man needs should be given at a cheaper rate. And the product which a rich man uses should be priced higher to compensate the losses. So you have, if you see historically, high-priced petrol, low-priced kerosene, middle-priced diesel oil. This was the socio-economic justice. If you see worldwide, the petrol price, the diesel price is compatible. If you go to any part of the United States, if you see, the difference is not more than 10 cents, because they are all compatible products. In India, this distortion existed because of this administered pricing mechanism. And at the end of the year, so the government will decide how much losses the oil companies have incurred versus how much gains they have made. Because you sell both, you sell petrol, you sell kerosene, you sell diesel. And they will compensate the oil companies the losses or recover from them the gains over and about the margins fixed by them. So what the government did, they fixed a margin for each oil company based on the refinery cost, the marketing margins, distribution cost, plus your cost of investment. In other words, if you have spent 100 rupees, they will give you a markup of 7% or 8%. That is your markup. Over and above that, the government will take it to pool account. This continued till 2001. 1997-98, when Mr. Gowda was the Prime Minister, they took a decision that as a result of this monopoly, there is a certain amount of inertia, inefficiency creeping into the system. Plus, they also found that the oil marketing in India has not taken the new avenues, like you have today so many stores attached to the petrol pumps. These are all the concepts which existed in the West, where you have a motel, petrol pump is one part, then you have got the shopping center, you have the eating place, you have a auto garage and all that. So they said there should be a need for us to also think in terms of giving an opportunity for better service and also building certain amount of competitiveness in the public sector. So 2001 they said they will allow the entry of private sector oil companies. Up to 2001 they said no. So 97, 98 they took the decision to allow private sector oil companies to come into India. That includes the Indian companies. Now, one significant development that took place, which is really heartening, up to 97, in fact I retired in 97, up to 97, 98, If you see the petrol pumps, some of you would recall, absolutely inefficient service. The pumps will never deliver the correct quantity. The dispensers were all very old, and neither the quantity nor the equipment was in sound condition. I suppose if you recall those days, this is a common complaint. The delivery was always questionable. That was because you were not allowed to import the equipment since it was a monopoly. So any request that went to the government for upgrading your equipment, the standard response is, why do you need it? Don't bother. You are running the show well, people are paying the price, continue with it. So once the decision was taken that 2001, the doors will be opened for the private sector, the attitude of the government changed. They said, we have made so much of investment in the public sector oil companies. Crores and millions of money has gone into it. If these people do not come up to the expectations of the consumer, nobody will go to them. So they said, now we modernize. So between 98 and 2001, 2002, 2003, if you see, there was a remodeling of the petrol pumps across the country. Today, if you travel on the highway, you will find number of excellent petrol pumps where you can park your car, you can have your breakfast, you can get some servicing done, including the delivery of the fuel is highly automated. All this came because of the threat of a competition from the private sector. So in 2001, effectively, they opened the doors. They said, now the Indian market is open to everybody. Immediately, Reliance, SR, Shell said, we are putting up our petrol pumps. And Reliance immediately got about 1,200 licenses. SR got about 800. Shell also got about 300. And they went about in a very great speed. By 2002-2003, Reliance almost captured about 10 to 12% of the sale of diesel oil in India, because they went into this marketing in a big way, because they had by then commissioned their refinery in Gujarat. So they had the product, they had the technology, and they were in a competitive condition. Around 74 or so, there was a spurt in the cost of the crude oil. That was the time NDA was in power. So they developed coal fit. Now they said, if we allow the free marketing, naturally prices have to go up. In fact, I can read out the prices